BJ, I guess how much did you feel that not having Sam Sturridge was a factor tonight?
I mean, listen, Sam's obviously an important piece for us, but we've played before without him, and I thought the group was able to still respond and play in a really strong way.
Um, I guess where did you feel maybe what did you feel maybe were your best chances of this game, and I guess what maybe I guess prevented those chances from being more.
Yeah, I think once we were able to sort of uh, play the game at our tempo in the attacking half of the field and control and move the ball and find spaces in the middle and kind of opportunities to maybe find the ball into the penalty box. That's best. I think that's where some of our best chances come from. I thought we probably ended up rushing and relying probably too much on wide crossing, uh, uh, more than we would like, and I think that kind of maybe took some promising attacks and didn't let them turn into good goal scoring chances.
BJ, at times it seemed like the players were really frustrated with what was going on the pitch, whether with each other or with the referee, more than usual. What do you think caused that, and do you think that had an effect on the performance?
No, I mean I think it's just an emotional game, and both teams were playing. I think at sometimes at a really high tempo, and there was duels and second balls, and so I mean this is a semifinal leg, and both teams are going after it. So I think it's normal, and of course, when you're not creating goal scoring chances and you're down 1-0, like I think that frustration is because guys are really competing hard to try and get the equalizer.
And what did Tigres do to prevent you guys from playing your game? Because I'm assuming that's not exact. You said you relied on crosses. Was that something they did, or was that something you guys could have done better?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the first half, I thought they did a really good job of finding moments to kind of press us at pretty high. They did a really good job doing that, and the times that we were able to then get into the final third, I thought we could have maybe been a little bit more composed, got more numbers into the attack, maybe more numbers into the penalty box, and so again, just being a little bit more patient. In the second half, I thought we were in our attacking half for a long periods of time, but of course it's hard to break down. And I thought they defended the wide areas with numbers really well, and had numbers inside the penalty box. We weren't sharp enough in the middle area to kind of draw them out.
BJ, it felt like in the opening half that Tigres were really able to control the tempo, and it maybe took you guys a little while to be able to settle into the ball and control possession for long stretches. When you did, do you feel like it let you guys kind of set up a platform and be able to create a little bit more? And I guess what do you think made it take until the second half to be able to really kind of establish that?
Yeah, I thought the first 15 minutes was pretty strong. Then there was probably another, maybe the next 20 minutes is where I think the game got a little bit open, and I don't think we missed some passes. It wasn't super sharp, and we're kind of just a little bit off. And then I thought for the last 10 minutes, even to the last shot on, with Patrick over the top of the goal, like we were able to finally get weather a little bit of the press and then get to their attacking half and kind of settle down. And I think that's when we're at our best.
And then as the second half, especially when we're on, we saw Hani kind of dropping deeper and deeper and even picking up the ball off the back line. I know he has that in his game. Was that something that you wanted to see, or was it more kind of just a lack of other progression from midfield that was kind of forcing him to drop it?
No, I think he was man marked for most of the match by Araujo, and so you got to kind of find spaces where maybe Araujo doesn't want to come out to, and we still want to get guys like Hani on the ball and get them touches. And I think one of Hani's greatest strengths is that he can kind of come low, get it, and then he runs into the penalty box and you sort of lose him. And so I think he was trying everything out there, but I think that was one of the ideas that we were trying.
BJ, obviously, Tigres had a lot to do today about the result of the game, of course. But how much of the execution of Nashville had to do also with what happened tonight here?
I think it's always a mix of both. You play a really good team, right? I mean, we're not going to take anything away from Tigres. They were really well organized, had a good game plan, and they finished their chances. We didn't. But I think, at the same time, we're probably a little bit frustrated that maybe we didn't play our best as a group. And we'll get better from that, and we'll go down there, and we obviously know the exact pathway that we need to do to get a result down there to advance.
And you touched a little bit about my next question. I mean, even after a losing proposition like tonight, what gives you as a coach the confidence that Nashville is able to go there and just take the series?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we've done it before. We went down to Club America and we scored a goal. If you score a goal, now it's equal. And, obviously we can't concede until that. But I think for us, we can have confidence that we were able to play a good game tonight, but we left some stuff on the table. We're not going to be satisfied at all. And there's going to be opportunities for us to get better after we look at it and work at it. And so hopefully, the expectation is that we can have a better version of ourselves and go down there and get the result that we need.
Hi, BJ. You may have just answered my question, but I was curious what your message to the team is specifically after this result and the situation it sets up in leg 2.
Yeah, I think, the message to the team is we're really proud of the response, really proud of the way they competed all the way through the 90 minutes. Certainly all of us are frustrated maybe at the that we didn't get a goal that we thought was probably out there. And like we always do, we'll sort of reflect on it. We'll get better. We'll train it together, and we'll look to have a more impactful performance when we go down there.
And it seemed like Maxwell had a couple of opportunities near the top of the box where he might have had a decent look on goal. I'm wondering what your perspective was on those. He seems like such a pass-first player that he passed both of them up, at least from what I saw. I'm wondering if you said anything to him or what your view was on that.
No, I mean, I think, listen, he's center backs get themselves in some of those situations, and if he wants to let one go, he can. But I agree. I think he's probably looking to upgrade that scoring chance, knowing that we needed a good quality chance.
Coach, at this early point of the season, how do you manage the health of your players like Sam and Eddie, who went down tonight, with the schedule that you're playing?
I mean, we just have to continue to play. That's what we do. Unfortunately, Sam took from like a tackle type of thing, and that's what happens in this sport. And for us, we'll check on Eddie, but next man up. And I thought you saw Matt come into the game and have a good response. And I thought Warren had a solid game with a few just miss type of moments. So for us, we're confident in the group. We're confident in using all of our guys, and we know the next guy will step up.
Is there any thought to being more cautious with Sam moving forward, with this being his second kind of injury of the season?
Well, I would say they're two completely separate types of injuries, and we will lean on the medical team and the doctors to guide his recovery and his return to play.
BJ, when it came to the first 15 minutes, the side was pretty strong. Obviously, Eddie goes off in the 18th minute. How much of a game tonight, I guess, benefited a guy like Eddie Tagseth when it comes to just covering so much space?
Yeah, we thought it was a really good game for somebody like Eddie and the partnership of him and Patrick. That's why we started those two. A game that we knew probably early on was going to have a lot of direct balls, second balls, kind of transition moments, and that's where he thrives. But, unfortunately, he had to be removed. But again, I thought Matt stepped in and still did a solid job.
And then at the left back position, Reed Baker-Whiting, it seems like this tournament has kind of been his for the taking for the most part. Just your overall assessment of how he's matured throughout this tournament and his matchups tonight on that left flank.
Yeah, I think you've seen over the course of the tournament, Reed has had some big 1v1 sort of matchups, right? And I thought he's done a really good job defensively. And I think he's going to continue to grow and improve and be more impactful going forward.
Just one from me. When you talk about not being as sharp as you wanted to be in the final third, how did you see that kind of manifest itself the most? Was it spending too much time on the ball, the pass accuracy? You mentioned what's the biggest difference in that regard you want to see in tonight versus what needs to happen next Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, I think just overall maybe just a little bit of impatience. I think, maybe from the spots and the volume of crossing, I thought there was probably opportunities to maybe make an extra pass or, try to make instead of crossing, trying to get a little bit deeper in the penalty box.
BJ, what was missing in the second half to convert your chance? And what do you think that having the goal disallowed with the first 5 minutes of the game maybe have your team on focus a little?
I mean, the first part, I just think, again, it's just that little bit of final execution, maybe the pass before the final pass. Can we make that a little bit better, or make a different pass instead of relying, kind of on the crossing? I think, the disallowed goal was from a really good aggressive attacking play, and I thought it was indicative of kind of how we started that first 15 or 20 minutes.
Also, how is Eddie doing? Do you have any update or not yet?
I don't have any clear update on him. Obviously, he had to come off, and so we'll try to get that as best we can once he's sort of looked at in a more calm way.
We'll go to Dolly on the Zoom.
Hi,
Hello?
Hi, Dali Guerrero from Once Diario. When your team got into advanced areas, it sometimes looked like there was a lack of presence or just, I don't know, coordination inside the box. Is that something related to positioning, timing of runs, or overall attacking structure?
Yeah, I think it was, I think once we were able to sort of control the tempo, we did find some decent areas in the field to kind of, try to disorganize the opponent. I just would have liked us to do it, more frequently and more consistency. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Great. Thanks, guys.